Hey, Ken Krawchuk here again, and welcome to the Them portion of episode 32 of the Pennsylvania Project, where we host a guest to help us showcase the political, cultural, and or environmental issues facing Pennsylvania. Our guest today is all political. David Osborne, President, Co-founder, and General Counsel of the Fairness Center in Harrisburg, a nonprofit public interest law firm that provides free legal services to those hurt by public sector union officials. What a guy. He's an attorney, a former clerk to a Florida Supreme Court justice, and, if I may add, a champion of the downtrodden. David, welcome to the Pennsylvania Project.
Hey, thanks, Ken. That's a great introduction.
Yeah. Well, I only call them as I see them. And that's exactly what you're doing, that whole downtrodden thing. Mm-hmm. Because I was looking through some of the cases that you guys have handled, and probably the biggest one on the mind is that maintenance of membership policy, where unions won't let you quit the union unless there's this little teeny tiny window. What's that all about?
Yeah, since 1970, there's been a law in the books here in Pennsylvania. Public sector unions are unions like unions that represent teachers, they represent city and county workers. They're very concerned that they keep their members in the union for as long as possible. So that's
their lifeblood.
Maintenance of membership allows them to do that for several years while there's a contract in effect. And members cannot leave their union until the last 15 days of a contract. So if my union were to enter into a collective bargaining agreement today, that's a 4-year agreement, I may have to mark on my Google Calendar 2023, a little 15-day window there to remind me when that time comes, I've got to send a letter, certified mail, return receipt requested, to a particular address. And now if things don't go exactly according to plan, that 15-day window may be over, and I'm locked into the union for another 3 or 4 years. We represent a lot of clients who've experienced this kind of thing.
No, I guess I'm on two sides of that, because we have, as a free country, we have the unlimited right to contract. So can I sign that contract? Isn't it on me since I signed that? Don't I have to abide by that? It's like, for example, one of these condominium associations. You move there, you follow the rules.
Well, that's not what we're talking about. So maintenance of membership allows a union to put that in the collective bargaining agreement that they've agreed to with the employer with no consent from a member.
Don't they vote on it? Membership always votes on those agreements.
Members often get the opportunity to ratify a contract, but the union doesn't actually have to listen to them.
What?
So, yeah.
What? I'm kidding.
So, and then most people don't know what it means. So if you look in one of these agreements, I've looked at many. It's termed maintenance of membership, which is sort of a clinical thing, and then it makes a reference typically to a statute and doesn't really tell you what the statute says. So people have to do a lot of homework. Homework that's probably not allowed in a 2 or 3 hour union ratification meeting in order to figure out what this means.
It depends upon the person too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I play around with legal stuff. I've represented myself in court. I've won a lot. I've lost a lot too. It goes either way, but it's not trivial. But I would say it can't be that difficult, or else lawyers wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about a guy who got locked into one of these. So we represent a guy named John Cabler. John Cabler works for a liquor store as a liquor store clerk in Pennsylvania. As you know, the state owns the liquor stores.
Yeah, I ranted about that one. I could tell you where. I don't know. Go ahead.
Which episode, Ken?
I'm looking at my cheat sheet here.
And their union?
And they're unionized. Yeah, there's a union called UFCW.
Okay.
Local 1776. Well, John comes in to work on his first day. He's really excited about starting his job, and he ends up in an orientation meeting, like many of us do when we start our job. But in these orientation meetings, the union actually gets a period of time that's unsupervised with the workers, and during that time,
what do you mean unsupervised? Who would be supervising?
The employer would be supervising.
So that would be the good wine and bad spirits people.
That's right, yeah. So his union comes in and puts a union contract, a membership form in front of him, and says, "You have to sign this in order to work here."
Wow.
And he says, "Okay, I didn't know that." He actually went back to the union and asked for some clarification, but they told him repeatedly, "You have to join the union in order to keep your job here. If you don't, we'll keep you off the schedule."
I thought we had right to work state where you don't have to join the union.
We don't have a right to work state, but that's a separate issue. So you don't have to join the union, and that's true really in any state. So, but John doesn't know that, and of course he's facing pressure from his union, so he signs. I want you to know the union had the audacity to put all this in writing as well. They sent him a letter a few days later to say, thanks for joining the union. As you know, you have to join the union as a membership, as a condition of your employment here. And if you don't, we'll keep you off the schedule.
Which is not true.
Which is not true.
Okay.
And so John signed it. And at the end of the day, when he moves to resign from his union, they say, I'm sorry, you can't do that. We have something called maintenance of membership.
And he's got to wait.
So not only was he tricked into joining, he's locked into staying.
That's incredible.
So we filed a lawsuit for him. We filed a similar lawsuit.
Before you get into the lawsuit, let me back up on that. Isn't that illegal to lie to the guy like that? Because Doty just brought that up. They're not allowed to do that. They've given him bad information.
They sure have, yeah. That became part of the lawsuit, Ken.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we filed a lawsuit on his behalf to challenge maintenance and membership. We also challenged the fact that the union was running a de facto closed shop. And a closed shop is where you have to join as a member in order to work there. It really hasn't been around since the 1940s when Congress outlawed it. But and then we also sued his union leaders for intentional misrepresentation. I mean, this wasn't just a constitutional infringement, also a flat lie.
Now, are you suing them personally or is in their capacity as a union boss?
It's both. The intentional misrepresentation portion keyed on their personal capacities.
Wow.
Yep.
Heavy duty.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what's been going on though as a product. We filed suits, 8 or 9 suits like this across the state. 2 of them class actions, and the net effect, even though none have come to judgment yet. This is part of what we do. The net effect is that our clients have been let out of the union by and large. They've gotten their money back in some instances, and in most instances, the union has actually run away from the maintenance and membership requirement. They've taken it out of their contract. They've said they won't put it in the next one, and a lot of success for our clients. So I'm very proud of that.
That's very cool, man.
Well, that's part of how public interest litigation works. So we represent clients. We care immensely about our clients. They are our number one priority. The IRS requires that we also have a public interest, that this case means something to more people than just our client. And when you're litigating in that capacity, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference even if you don't win the case, even if you're still in negotiation or settlement. That the union actually changes its policies and reforms. Now, I got to say, I don't trust them for my client. We've advised them, just because they're rescinding their policy now doesn't mean they can't put it back.
That's true.
But that's where we're at. And I'm very proud of the accomplishments for our clients.
Dave, you have every right to be proud of that. I mean, that's, as I mentioned in my intro, I look at it, you're championing the downtrodden. How do these people find you? Like, all right, I go to work for the good spirits, bad spirits place, and they say, you got to sign this. All right, I sign it. I don't know any better, and I'm stuck in the union. I go home, I complain to my wife. She goes, shut up, dear, have another drink or whatever. How do they find you? How do they know to call you? Do you reach out to these people or what?
Variety of ways. They mostly find us online. We have a website. And
what do they search on? Free legal advice, or how do I stop the evil spirits people?
I think it's get out of my union, or do I have to strike? That's a common question when there's a public sector union strike. Come to us in a variety of ways.
Really? So they can be a scab, and the union can't stop them from doing that.
What do you mean in the strike situation?
Strike breaker, crossing the picket lines, all that stuff.
Well, I'll give you sort of a broad overview. When let's say you're a teacher whose union is going on strike. As a general matter, if you are a member of the union, the union can actually tell you to strike. They can tell you not to go to work. They can tell you to walk a picket line and hold a sign.
Yeah, but you have to listen.
And if you don't do it, then they've got something called union discipline. And they can fine you. Union discipline used to be things like getting kicked out of your job. Right now, it's more like a fine. Sometimes they call it a censure.
How much? Just curious.
It varies based on the unions, but it's not an insignificant amount.
Right.
So,
and that's legal?
That's legal. Yep.
Is that part of what they're signing when they take their job?
In most cases, they know what they're getting into, or should know what they're getting into.
They don't.
These union discipline clauses are typically in the union constitution and bylaws. Now, you have the most protections available to you if you're not a member of the union. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
If you're faced with a strike scenario and you don't want to strike, typically the answer, legally speaking, is you should become a non-member, because at that point the union can't tell you what to do.
Yeah, but you got to wait a couple of years because of that maintenance of membership clause.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So they got you coming and going.
Yep.
And they were designed to protect people.
Union. Well, yeah. Public sector unions, I think, served a purpose for a time. I've spoken to some elderly teachers who now retired who talk a lot about how in their early years, the principals would take advantage of them. They would work hours that they considered unreasonable, and the unions, when they came in, they changed all that. So I think they've served a purpose. There are many people also who today want to be part of a union. I would not, I would not stand in their way. I think people should be free to join a union if they want to.
I agree. But, I'm a libertarian. Your life, your way, as long as you respect others.
But our clients should be free to leave. That's right. When they want as well. Yeah. We often talk about it as a right to change your mind.
I like putting it that way. It's kind of like a republic. If you're a sovereign nation, Pennsylvania joins a republic, it should have the right to leave it. Look at Brexit. Britain's leaving the European Union. It should be the same thing when it comes to unions. My guest today is David Osborne, president of the Fairness Center in Harrisburg. I'm your caster, Ken Krawchuk, and you're listening to episode 32 of the Pennsylvania Project. We'll be right back after this information.
Thinking about getting your first tattoo? Maybe you're ready to add to that sleeve you started, or cover up that one regrettable choice. Put Sam C. and his team of artists at Iron Will Tattoo Club in Glenside, PA at the top of your list. The team at Iron Will has plenty of designs to choose from. They can create an original design or work with a design that you provide. Call 267-893-7625 today to schedule your free consultation. That's 267-8WE-ROCK. Or visit them on Instagram at Iron Will Tattoo Club.
Hey everybody, Dodie Preston here, cohort on the Pennsylvania Project. It's easy to find a high-paying job. At least for some people it is. Employers are begging for competent leaders who know how to communicate effectively. Do those words describe you? Competent leader communicates effectively? If not, or even if they do, you may want to consider joining Toastmasters. The mission of Toastmasters is to provide a supportive environment for learning communication and leadership skills. Does it really work? Hey, look at me. I joined Toastmasters, and now I'm on the radio. So turn your life around, like I have. Visit Toastmasters.org and contact a club near you. Visitors are always welcome, and be sure to mention my name. The future, or Ken's, the future is anxiously awaiting competent leaders who know how to communicate effectively, unlike what I just did in that sentence. You can be that leader. It all starts at Toastmasters.org.
Are you a small business owner always looking for referrals? Do you have a streamlined approach to generating new referrals? Contact Steve Worley to learn the fast, easy way to generate new referrals. Steven has an inclusive system that will help you generate an extra 5 to 10 customers per week without spending a single dollar on ads. You won't have to create a website, have pictures taken, or write a single ad. Steven will take the headache out of the process. Contact him at StephenWorley.com. That's Stephen with a V, WERLEY.com. Do you have the financial freedom that you imagined you would have? At AJ Freedom Financial, we are dedicated to serving you while helping you achieve your financial goals. We offer planning and investment advice on everything from college and retirement planning to a rollover 401k. Please call 866-383-6899 to learn more. The top priority at AJ Freedom Financial has always been and always will be our clients. Call AJ Freedom Financial today to talk to a qualified professional. 866-383-6899. 866-383-6899. AJ Financial Freedom, helping Pennsylvania achieve financial freedom from the man. Securities investment advisory services are offered through Gradient Securities, LLC members, FINRA, SIPC. Insurance products are services offered through AJ Financial Freedoms. AJ Financial Freedoms is not affiliated with Gradient Securities, LLC.
Hey, Ken Krawchuk here again, and we're back with episode 32 of the Pennsylvania Project, and our guest, David Osborne, President and General Counsel of the Fairness Center in Harrisburg. And I always am surprised when guests don't run away. I think you are the second attorney, and the last one we had on here a couple times, he said, I don't think I want to answer that question. But you're pretty open, and you're also staying on topic. I'm glad I'm not scaring you off or anything like that. You know, I admire what you're doing because you're helping the little guy, people who couldn't afford a lawyer, because this other attorney we were talking to, he was trying to justify his multi-$100 an hour fee and everything like that. But you're championing the little guy there. And my first question is, somebody's got to pay to keep the lights on. Where do you get your funding?
Yeah, sure. Well, we're a nonprofit public interest law firm. We're a registered charity, so much like any other 501c3, we have to raise our money to keep the lights on. We receive money from individuals, businesses, and family foundations all across the country.
Wow. Do you know one thing we champion here at the Pennsylvania Project is something called the Universal Charitable Credit Act. It is passed in Arizona. What it does is it allows people to donate to the charity of their choice and then take it off that take that contribution off their taxes dollar for dollar. So if I were to give $100 to the Fairness Center, I'd be able to subtract $100 off of my tax bill. Have you heard of that?
I've not heard of it, no.
Oh, dude, you should be doing that because they have it, like I said, in Arizona, and I don't have all the numbers at my fingertips here, but they've given hundreds of millions of dollars over the years. And what I like best about that, couple things. First of all, it's not some bureaucrat deciding who gets the money. And second of all, there's so much tax money lost in the bureaucracy. And I'm not going to do it again. I have a shtick that I do with a dollar bill that shows how much of your money actually makes it to its ultimate destination, and you're lucky if you get a dime on the dollar back. But things like the Universal Charitable Credit Act, and there is one in Pennsylvania, it just hasn't passed yet. Stuff like that could help you guys out immensely.
Very well could. Yeah.
So I didn't hear an answer to the question. Where does your funding come from? You said you're a nonprofit organization?
Yeah, we raise our money. It comes from individuals, businesses, and family foundations across the country.
Across the country. Mm-hmm. And you're in, how many states are you in?
So we operate right now in Pennsylvania and then Connecticut. We started working in Connecticut last year.
So you got people all over the country helping out we two states.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, part of the reason that people like to support us is that
I was about to ask.
What they see is a landscape where certain claims never get brought without free legal assistance.
I would agree.
So, for instance, some of our clients, I told you about John Cabler. Well, John Cabler couldn't get out of the union, so he had to pay union dues. Right. Those union dues for many people are anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a year. So when you file a lawsuit over such a thing, you're going to pay an attorney to do it. You'll burn through that amount in the first couple hours with your attorney. So in other words, that claim is never going to get filed in court unless someone is willing to represent these people. So that's where we come in. Or
you're crazy like me and just go in and do it yourself. What do they say? A person who represents himself has a fool for a client.
Pro se. Yeah.
I go pro per.
Okay.
Propria persona.
Well, happily they don't have to do that, and they've got folks who can navigate that process for them. It's not just me. We've got a team of attorneys and support staff. Mm-hmm.
Now, I was looking on your website, and it says that you help people not only in the court of law but also in the court of public opinion. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? You go out there and you lobby?
Well, we've done some lobbying, but what we are talking about there is about advancing our client's case with the public. In many instances, I think as an attorney, we have to zealously advocate for our clients, and that job is not just in court. As you see with a lot of high-profile litigation, you've also got to be pretty savvy out with the media and with social media. So there are many cases where, in addition to doing our work in the courts, we also work for our clients through media and social media. I'll give you an example of that. So there was a situation here in Pennsylvania. It's ongoing in some places where, in a collective bargaining agreement, a union would negotiate with an employer to have employees that are public employees leave their job full time and go work for the union 100% of their time while still being paid by the taxpayers. It's a fairly common practice. They refer to it sometimes as release time in this state.
I got a better word for it. But
on the federal level, they often call it official time. We represent some taxpayers who were incensed about that deal.
I believe it. I'm incensed about it just listening to you.
And you better believe that in addition to going in court and hammering away for our clients, we also contacted the media and let them know about this. And when we did, it made a lot of news, made television, made radio. And what it did for our clients is basically reverse that deal in many places across the state without the need for litigation. So our clients were obviously very happy about that.
Bravo.
We've still got a case pending in Allentown over that, where we represent some taxpayers. Allentown was one of the poorest school districts in America.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it was absolutely necessary that we went in and filed a lawsuit. But they have now decided to reimburse the school district for the costs, at least going forward. Now we're still in court because they're about $1.3 million on the table that they have never reimbursed before. And it's our taxpayers' position that we want that money returned to the school board.
Makes sense. Makes great sense. It's a lot of money lying around there too, and it's the same thing. They have that same way of finding it. They just go out on the web, and you go out there in the court of public opinion and you try to sway them, and you scare them off because they don't want to hear that kind of stuff coming out over the air.
Well, we represent people who've been hurt by public sector union officials, and that's a story that makes an impact when people hear it.
How much of an impact does it have? Because I've dealt with these unions before. I ran for governor of Pennsylvania, and as such, I've been invited to their stuff, and they're pretty arms-folded kind of a group. How do you make any kind of an impact on them? Because, like I said, in my experience, they seem to be not open to these ideas.
Sure. Well, we represent people in the court of law as well, and I think that's where the power comes. Our clients, we file meritorious lawsuits for them, and when that's also waiting in the wings for you after you get off the phone with a reporter, you're going to be very careful about what you say. So,
yeah, I noticed you've been in several of the publications I have, and mentioned one of the things on your website mentioned Jan Murphy. I remember her. I had dealt with her a while during the campaign. She's actually a very good reporter. Some reporters won't give you the time of day, especially when you're a challenger party like we libertarians. But she'd actually seek me out, which is unusual. So do they come knocking on your door, or do you rely on news releases going out?
Reporters, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, when there's a particularly public sector union issue, we've developed a specialty there. I mean, so we can inject some levity in some of those conversations.
I would certainly hope so. Well, I'm going to put you in my Rolodex, if people still have Rolodexes anymore. We're running a little short on time. One other question. How many people do you have in this organization? Is it just you? Is it you got the whole choir or what?
No, we've got right now we've got 4 attorneys and then communication staff member and 2 litigation support members.
That's cool. So you're not really big. That's great.
Yeah, we've quadrupled in size in the last 5 years since we started. And that's really because we're serving a market that needs to get served.
Yeah. It's a very odd market. I wouldn't even think of it as a market because you're doing things on a nonprofit basis. That kind of oxymoronic, a nonprofit market. I don't know. Do you have a website or something where people can go instead of just typing in, get me out of my union?
Sure. It's fairnesscenter.org. O-R-G.
You have a Facebook page?
Yeah, we do. I don't know how to get there.
I don't do Facebook either, you know. I got peeps to do that for me. My wife picks on me for it. My family picks on me for it. You should be online. It's like, yeah, right, in my copious free time. David, thank you very much for being on the Pennsylvania Project. I learned something. Like I said, you're going to be in my Rolodex, and I'm sure our listeners has picked up something too. So you out there in radio land, podcast land, if you know somebody who's in a tight situation with their public union, do you use private unions too, or just public?
No, just public sector.
Yeah, holding back the tide of government. That rings nicely with the libertarian in me. Any final comments?
Well, I love our clients. I love working for them. We put them first. So although many of them feel the same way you do about government, many of them do not. They just are tired of the abuse that they've taken from public sector union officials. So.
And there you are to help the downtrodden. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the them portion of Pennsylvania Project. My thanks again to our guest, David Osborne. No, thank you. President and General Counsel of the Fairness Center in Harrisburg, champion of the downtrodden. We're going to pause for this information, and when we return, I'm going to be ranting about something that really sticks in my craw. Corporations.
The following is a